speech making terrifies me. Good evening, I am indeed Miss Clara Barton. In my day, in the 1800s, there's a terrible prejudice against a woman working outside the home. Ladies were expected to grow up, get married, have children, stay home. Be quiet, obedient, stupid, uneducated, a bunch of rubbish. I do not believe it. I never married. I have no children. I'm educated and I speak my mind. And they said, oh, she's not a lady. I'm not Clara Barton. That's all. Because I was actually born Clarissa. Clarissa Harlow Barton. In North Oxford, Massachusetts, on Christmas Day in 1821, the youngest of 5 children. And my father was Captain Stephen Barton. He fought in the French and Indian skirmishes, and I loved his stories of soldiering and survival in the wilderness as a little girl. Well, little did I know, as a woman grown, I would be thrust into a terrible war myself. But thanks to Father's stories, I never mounted my infantry or got my cavalry on foot. And it was my father who taught me, it is our greatest duty to love and serve our country. Now, my mother, Sally Stone, was a no-nonsense abolitionist who believed in equal rights for women, and thanks to Mother, so do I. My parents, thank goodness, were great believers in education, and what do believers say?
Never give up.
Indeed, so I loved books and schooling, but it didn't make me any less shy. And even as a woman grown, I've met countless presidents and the Tsar of Russia, and sometimes I still get so scared around strangers, my mouth and my voice escapes. Well, if you had told my classmates, when I grew up, people call me the bravest woman in America, they would never believe it. And they were surprised. I didn't get married and let someone take care of me. I chose to work instead, and I took a terrifying occupation. I became a teacher. I went to the local folks and said, look, I'm a teacher. Let me teach. And so I opened the first free public school in Bordentown in 1852. And on my first day, I had 6 children. And 1 year later, there were 600 students, because that's how hungry they are to learn. Oh, and in the fall of 1853, I got a beautiful new 2-story red brick school building. Oh, the talk of the whole state. And then I got a rude awakening, because it had now become such a big, impressive institution. Were they going to let a woman remain in charge?
Absolutely not.
They had gone out that summer and hired a younger male principal and gave him 3 times my salary, and he told the children they needn't even listen to me, respect me, obey me. I was furious and I was hurt. I said, this is my school, I built it. Why would you do such a thing? And they said, well, Miss Barton, this is now a position of great authority, and of course,
that's not a place for a woman.
You know, Thomas Jefferson said the South is a different animal. They'll go get a king someday. Well, in 1861, at the start of that war, most people didn't live down south. Only 1/3 of our population, let's say the believers. And most of you would be poor farmers. But some of you are very wealthy planters. And what kind of labor they use on those plantations? Slaves. Well, if I thought the treatment of women is disgusting, it's nothing to the way they treat the poor African slaves. Now, if you're a slave, are you allowed to vote?
Absolutely not.
May you go to school?
Absolutely not.
If you're a slave, do you own anything of your own?
Absolutely not.
Because these idiots will tell you that a slave is like that table or chair, their property, and no fool in Washington's going to tell them what to do with their property. But if you're an abolitionist, like me, do you want that evil spreaded?
Absolutely not.
We want to get rid of slavery once and for all. Well, as you know, things got so bad, the South decided to secede. They say they're now their own nation. They quit. They're not part of the United States. You are now the Confederate States of America. Your own flag, your own president. And you could go hang up in Washington City. Because 12th of April, 1861, those rebel traitors started shooting at our boys at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. And it was war. Well, I know it's little that one person can do, but I craved the privilege of doing that. So, I decided to become a nurse. Now, how long must you train to be a nurse at that time? Oh, you're on to me. Right. There was no such thing as a nursing school because nursing was unskilled labor and it's done all by men. Immigrant men. It's the dirty They don't think you're as capable, but they're stuck with you. Fine, but I don't want to work in a hospital. Most of those boys don't make it to any hospital. They need tending right away. They don't die from their wounds. They die because nobody got them something to eat or drink or stop the bleeding quickly enough. So I want to become a battlefield nurse. Now, what is nursing? I don't have medicines. If you're lucky for pain, I might have brandy, whiskey, wine, if you're lucky. Nursing is nothing fancy. It means getting you something to eat or drink. Half the time, the Army didn't have containers to get the food to the soldiers. It's getting you fed. It's getting you a blanket because at Fredericksburg, that awful winter of 1862, those poor boys are lying out in the snow and their blood's freezing them to the ground. So it's getting them some warm bricks and a blanket so they don't freeze to death. It's holding your hand because you're scared, maybe because you're dying. Gentlemen, I need 3 soldiers. Come on, you cowards. Listen, Lincoln used the draft. I will too. Now, gentlemen, I need to inspect your teeth. Let me see your teeth. Why? Well, in order to serve, you need to have at least 4 teeth, gentlemen. Don't laugh. Not everybody had them. 2 upper, 2 lower. Now, why do you need your teeth, gentlemen? No, the Army doesn't care for me.
So I can tear open my
Yes. Your bullet and or your powder, sometimes both, come wrapped in a paper cartridge. So gentlemen, in order to load your rifles, you gotta rip it open with your teeth, pour it down the gun barrel, and you're doing that many times a minute. So, you cowards who don't want to fight, simply knock out your front teeth and you don't have to go. Not only does she not look like a nurse, well, she doesn't even look like a lady. Well, look, she's got naked legs. Where's the rest of your skirt, woman? Well, I don't know why some of you are laughing. I'm looking out there and I'm seeing women in breeches. Absolutely improper. Would you help an enemy soldier? Not everyone did. Most wouldn't, in fact. But neutrality has always been my watchword. I hate the South for slavery and for starting this bloodshed. I entirely blame them. But if Providence puts you in my path, I don't care what color your uniform is. If you're wounded, you're hungry, I'm going to help you. Because at that point, you're just a person in need of aid, and I will help you. And that got me in trouble. You know, I've had my dress blown off by rockets, men I was nursing blown out of my arms and killed, but I was never wounded. Not once. And by God, that tells me I am doing the work on this earth I'm supposed to. No matter what the naysayers try to tell me about woman and her so-called proper place. And this is Mike the Yank, right?
Mike the Yank.
Mike the Yank, very well. Now, Mike the Yank, you're that soldier at Antietam got wounded right in the cheek. Got a bullet right there. Now, that hurts, but you're not like to die. Surgeon doesn't have time for you. When you see Miss Janine and I, you know we're your only chance for help. And so when we came upon this soldier, he said, please remove the bullet. Please remove the bullet, but I'm not a surgeon, and I've never operated on a man, and honestly, I'd be too afraid I'd hurt you, dear boy. But he just said it again. You have to ease his suffering. It's very near the surface. Now, I am not Dr. Dunn. I have no surgical tools. So instead, I took out my pocket knife. Changed his mind. Very, very carefully. Oh, what a great trepidation. There's that nasty mini ball. Look at that thing. Awful, dreadful things. Ooh, I think, Miss Janine, you better give him some whiskey. He's going to need it. Go Well, then we moved along. Forgot all about you. Well, he never forgot me. In order to remember me and thank me, do you know thousands of my veterans named their little girls Clara, and I can't think of a finer way to be remembered. You know, most male surgeons, no matter how many times I proved my courage, I mean, grown men cried and ran, and I stayed, they still didn't want me around because I'm a lady, but not this fine doctor. And Dr. Dunn was, in fact, so relieved and so happy, he gave me a name by which I'd be called the rest of my days. He called me
the angel of the battlefield.
Now, by the way, he originally had a word in front of the word angel. He originally said homely. would you just drop the M? And henceforth it shall say, Holy Angel of Beth.